Well, with almost enough Premier League points amassed to secure our safety and our form dwindling in that competition, I have decided boldly to give up on the league this year. We now put all our attention into the cups as we've got three competitions we're still in, and we start with the final of one, the Carabao Cup at Wembley against Newcastle. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 65 of the Head Coach with me, Daniel. We are back today for 9th v 8th as we look to spoil the European party for one of the top 7 as we face Newcastle at Wembley Stadium as we look to make it 2 domestic cups in 2 years. We are going to be without Lewis Miley, who is of course on loan from today's opponents. Facundo Fernandes is out, Max Aarons is doubtful and several other players struggling. And we are dealing with a real backlog of fixtures, which is causing some problems and headaches as we come back towards other competitions. So if you're looking forward to seeing how we get on today, as 3 days after this, we go away to Crystal Palace in the FA Cup. And please do put a thumbs up on it. But let's start by having a look at the schedule and see where, aside from the finances, it's all been going wrong. Because since you were with me, for the Sevilla and the Middlesbrough draws and a bit of end of transfer window action, it's been a really interesting spell. We picked up 2 Premier League wins but lost 3 away games. We've also won a cup replay, won a Europa League game and got some pretty interesting cup draws. We've got PAOK in the last 16 of the Europa League, a side we beat narrowly in our last group stage game. We've also got that banana skin at Palace in the cup, which I'd be confident of, even if it was a day later probably. But the big one is the Carabao Cup. You can see we've got tricky league fixtures sandwiched in the middle against United, against Spurs. I'll be resting everyone. I'm not trying to finish higher in the league now. I want to win trophies. Particularly if we don't win today, we've got to prioritise the rest. But before we run through those games individually, let's have a quick look at the end of the transfer window because there was a little bit of action. In on deadline day, after a youngster in Gökhan Kemer from Bayern Munich, who, to be fair, is better than the usual youngster we get in, but probably not quite first team level yet. But the one that surprised me on deadline day was Lewis O'Brien. He came on loan from Burnley. Now he's a very average player, probably championship standard, but I thought with no budget remaining and with us a little short in central midfield, that's actually quite a clever little signing with no future commitment. A bit too much on the wages for me, but otherwise going to be useful in the squad till the end of the year. And again, no commitment to buy. Going out though, on the flip side of that, a really interesting sale that probably reflects why Director of Footballs and the transfer AI market is not very good in FM at the moment, because Nicolo Casale, who we signed a year and a half prior for about 15 million at 31, has now gone to Anderlecht for 11 million at the age of 33. He's physically declining massively. They've offered him a huge wage. He's got nothing left to give really. And I'm baffled that they've paid such money for him. I mean, it's a great deal from Mike Phelan. Fair play to the lad. But I don't think you'll see that so often for a 33-year-old. Certainly not one of a standard that is vastly declining. And he's not really played a lot this year, bar a couple of Europa League games. So a little bit of wheeling and dealing from Mike Phelan at the end of the transfer window. And that left us with these results where we've still not got a big enough squad to compete in everything. But we're able to pick up key ones. So PAOK, it was Wilco van der Lack, a good summer signing who got the winner. Only 8,500 again at Bournemouth. I don't know why they hate the Europa League here. The best result off camera was this one. We raced into a 3-goal lead at half-time against Liverpool. Aslan and a Jose Lopez brace despite missing a penalty as well, before Liverpool bit back in the second half and in truth probably could have got a result out of it. Against Middlesbrough in the FA Cup replay, really good win. Mepham, Damsgaard, Miley and Solanke, as we did rotate a bit, but a few of those first teamers still played. So you saw Miley was in there, Leonardo started, we also had Nelson at the back with Mepham. So we interspersed a few of the first teamers and certainly bought a few of them off the bench. Away at Newcastle in the league, a 3-0 defeat, an awful performance. Away at Burnley in the league, a 4-1 defeat against the side who were bottom at the time. They had 10 men for half an hour. We managed 1 shot on target after that. It is not just the worst performance I've seen this season, it's the worst performance since I've been at Bournemouth and possibly of the save, although I might be forgetting a few early on in the Japanese times. But let's have a look at the West Ham game where we bounced back with a 3-0 win. Fernandes with 2, Doig with 1. And it does beg the question of home v away. I'm thinking for some of those away league games, when we have to rotate, do I go to a 4-3-3? Because maybe it's going to work better. We also lost at Hull in midweek, but we rotated everyone for that. It was all about looking ahead to this final. Ironically, our best player there was Lewis O'Brien, but we lost it in the 93rd minute after Leonardo had got us an equaliser. Now though, Newcastle United, a few key players out in a Carabao Cup final at Wembley as we drift into mid-table in the Premier League and a lower place finish than last year, I'm sure. They've still got Isaac, Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, both fullbacks in Botman and Livramento. The spine of the team is still the same, but quality added to it. You look at Ramsdale in goal and several others out in wide areas too. So let's see what lineup we can put out today. This is going to be pretty tricky because we know Aarons isn't quite fit. There's a few others we need to make decisions on. Give me a minute to do it and we'll be back to run through the team. Right then, a few big calls today. We start with Aarons on the bench despite a tight hamstring because if we're 1-0 up, I don't want to risk Ollie Burn as our fullback. Mendes is back in the middle. De Joffrey moves over one. I was tempted to drop him out as well, but Nelson has been really poor. Do I do it? No, I'm going to trust my judgment there. Van der Lack is in on the left because Fernandes, the star boy, is unavailable. Lopez stays in ahead of Leonardo up front. And Alex Scott is back in the middle because Lewis Miley is, of course, cup tied. So let's go and get through to the final with this 11 intact. Karnazeki is back in for the final. De Joffrey, Mendes and Schmidt the back three. Bernardoig the wing backs with Scott and Fernandes in the middle. And then Aslan and Van der Lack of Lopez up front. A strong bench if we need it, in fairness. Is not too bad at all. But we are missing the likes of Miley and Fernandes badly. And it might be the costly factor here. The Tottenham Cup final in the FA Cup last year was awful. We managed to just about get the job done. Will the same happen here as Newcastle make 5 changes? We've got Levi Colwill dropping out, Emil Smith-Rowe, Kieran Tierney was injured, Karim Konate dropped, which is surprising, and Oliver Skipp is on the bench as well. Vicario's the sub-keeper. They've got some names there, haven't they? Let's go and do it for the fans. Nervous Van der Lack. I'm not surprised. He's not really played at this level at all. He's motivated now, though. The team talk has worked. So let's see how the Carabao Cup final goes. This is going to be a huge game at Wembley Stadium. The touchline tablet doing its usual. The Joffrey very much improving coming into this after a month at the club. But I'm still petrified. We need to keep this poor. We need to keep it boring. We need to keep it low scoring. Or we're going to be in trouble. The only positive I'm getting out of this, I was talking about the cup tie with Palace in 3 days. Well, they're playing in the Premier League today, as you can see, against Arsenal. So even though we're going to be knackered, so will they. Hopefully they'll rotate. They're fighting for survival, so they should have to go stronger in the league. As Aslan breaks down the right-hand side, good chance for us to get it in. Off the keeper and Lopez spills the rebound. Oh, straight at the defender. It was a great chance to score. Now Newcastle can break from it. Isaac to Tonali. And on the right, he goes down the line. Van der Lack in brilliantly. What a tackle from the youngster. Not what he's in the team for, but does his job. And with half an hour gone, that Lopez block shot was the first of the match. Newcastle have now had a couple, and we've got one off injured. Oh, it's Alex Scott. That's a worry. Livramento's cross. Oh my God, it's blocked. Onto the post. Almost disaster. Josh Doig apparently fouls Tonali. And we're living dangerously. It's another free kick. Look at the position of this one. This is going in, isn't it? Macrina just over the bar. We cannot afford for Scott to be injured. There's a bruised knee. I mean, I've got to risk him because Miley can play in the cup in midweek. A bruised knee shouldn't be more than a week. And then we'll have him back for the next Europa tie. As on the edge of the box, Fedberg gets it to Botman. You can see Newcastle camped in. We're going to need the best of our defensive qualities here. And I'm not sure it's there. Aslan with a stupid diving tackle. Could have just nicked the ball and run away. Burn misses his challenge, but Scott breaks away. Alex Scott nicks in, turns left. 2 to his right. Oh, it's the wrong ball. Doig's been found, but we've still got a bit of momentum. Looks for Van der Lack. Is he onside? Across to Aslan. Oh, it's over the bar. The flag stayed down as well. It's a glorious opportunity for Aslan. And he's ballooned it into the second tier at Wembley. That's appalling. Botman picks it up on the edge of the box. Is it going to be costly? Across the box to Isaac. Good block by Gedson Fernandes. Lopez foul. Brilliant centre forward play. 5 to half time. It's a bit frantic at the minute. And there's not a huge amount of quality in truth. but it is 0-0 at half-time. It's the type of cup final we like. Make it boring, make it ugly, and make sure you get the win. We're going to say, go and get revenge on Newcastle. We'll get a few of these boys motivated and get them on the front foot. Josh Doig's having a poor game. Lopez isn't a great one. But then I guess that's the positions where we've got the best subs, isn't it? So we can't be too disappointed about that. Ollie Burner's been useless as well. But I'm worried that if I bring on Max Aarons too early, then we end up with a bit of trouble. I'm going to go Josh Doig off for Georgie. I'm going to bring Aarons on for Burn. And I'm also going to go for a nervous Lopez off for Marcos Leonardo, who's motivated, might be the big game player, might give us a penalty taker if nothing else. We've got 20 minutes remaining. We've still had no shot on target, but we are on the front foot here with Georgie. As Scott's knackered, but he's got the ball to Van der Lack. It's back towards him, but Livramento intercepts. Big ball forward, only as far as Mendes. He finds Alex Scott. Don't get robbed. Good play. Finds De Joffrey. What a start to his career he's having here. Finds Max Aarons into Gedson. Great football for Ferret Aslan. Leonardo. That is a goal from the gods, that. A terrible game with no shots on target for us. And then we have just produced one of the most stunning goals you will see. Perfect triangle passes. Great off the ball running. Great overlap. And a lovely cutback. Karnazeki is straight at the other end making a save. And now we've got to be careful. Don't make it for nothing. Schmidt heads away. Van der Lack chases as Smith Rowe the sub gets there. And it's back to Colwell, another of the subs. 10 minutes to go. Scott's knackered, but he's playing well. The wingers are knackered, but they're playing well. I've got to start thinking about experience here, I think. Siganov is a great penalty taker. I've got to also consider that in case we do concede. I'm going to take Van der Lack off for Siganov. And I'm going to put him on a support duty. I'm desperate to take Alex Scott off because he's really struggling physically. Lewis O'Brien is there, but is he the type we want to bring on? Damsgaard's there. Is he really that defensive-minded midfielder? I'm not so sure. I'm going to give it to the 90th minute, and then I've got an idea, but we'll wait and see if we get that far. 90 minutes pretty much played. The time wasting will be on. How many's added? 4. 4 minutes added. We're going through to the tactics. We've had one shot on target, and at the moment it's the winning one. You've all seen this before from our early days at the club. Wing-backs on defend, might even be full-backs on defend this time. A classic 5-4-1. No attacking intent. Gedson Fernandez, centre midfielder on defend. Wingers on support out wide. No overlaps. None at all. No high tempo. Time waste. Play for set pieces. Slow it down when you get the ball, man. And when you're out of possession, drop off more and make them play in front of you. Do we make the final sub yet? I was tempted to chuck Schmidt in midfield, but I don't really want to change the pattern of the back three. There isn't much else I can do. I'm going to wait a couple more minutes, I think. We'll get to 92 as Colwell's on the attack. Oh, don't do this to me. Aaron's away as far as Leonardo. Go on, break for a second. That would be incredible. He's giving it away. Bruno Guimaraes back to the centre half. Veloso nicked by Leonardo, but we've got nowhere to go. Gedson Fernandez turns out. He's lost the ball. Up to the centre forward, Isak. It's a long highlight. We all know what's coming. Tonali out wide to Livramento. Where's the winger? He's not back. Shots blocked. Scott away. Aslan hoofs downfield. Only as far as Jimenez on the edge of the box. He's still going. Turns out. Good save by Karnazeki. He holds it too. That's big. Alex Scott will now come off. Lewis O'Brien will come on. He joined on loan on deadline day. And he's had 90 seconds as a winner in the Carabao Cup final. What a result. And as always, for those of you that have been following me for years, we never win a cup final playing well, do we? It's always the ugly 1-0s, the ugly penalty victories. But AFC Bournemouth have won the Carabao Cup. Europe is guaranteed for a second successive year. And after an incredibly lucky run in the FA Cup last year, it's been exactly the same in a League Cup this year. 8th place Newcastle, the highest faced team we've placed. But Bournemouth have got a trophy. My stock is rising. And surely now we've got to look for another job at the top of this country or maybe elsewhere in Europe. 1-0 to Bournemouth. Pressure off for the season. And let's get to the FA Cup and try and avoid a shock in that one as we continue our defence. Back in a moment. Well, a mere 3 nights later, it is back to domestic cup action again, and this time we try to defend our FA Cup crown, but there's good news with it. Max Aarons, a starter that didn't get to feature much in the final due to injury, is fit. Facundo Fernandes is back. Match winner Leonardo only played half an hour. And of course, Lewis Miley is no longer cup tied. So that means we can rotate a bit while keeping a strength in squad. But let's see who's fit. We've been making training as light as possible. This is going to be an interesting matchup because Palace play a narrow 4-4-2, as you can see from just above my head. They played a diamond. We rely a lot on width and offer up a lot of space in the middle. So either side could get a very heavy victory here. Let's have a look at the team selection though. The only player not fit from the 11 is Alex Scott. Don't have to worry about fatigue because none of the first team are playing against United at the weekend. Lewis O'Brien is cup tied. He's on loan from Burnley but has featured in the FA Cup already. So we're going to make a few adjustments to this side. We'll be back in a minute to run through it. Well, a few changes to both team and squad going into this one, but I'm not sure we're actually weaker than we were before because we've made a change in goal. We've made one change at centre-half. Both wing-backs are out and a centre-forward and a centre-mid. That one enforced because of the fatigue for Alex Scott. Fernandes not quite fully fit, so he has to make do with a place on the bench, a bit like we did with Aarons at the weekend. We also drop out the likes of Doig and Mendes, who either played poorly or aren't quite fit after the weekend. Ollie Byrne drops down, which is natural, and Lopez switches with match winner Leonardo. We do though stick with both wingers. We do stick with a core of a very good winning team. So let's see how we get on with Manuel Barreto in goal. De Joffrey and Schmidt are joined by Victor Nelson at the back. Aarons and Georgi come in at wing back. Fernandes is now joined by fellow loanee Lewis Miley in the middle. Aslan and Van der Lack stay out wide. And up front, Marcos Leonardo, the man who scored the all-important goal at Wembley on Sunday. Off to Selhurst Park we go, and hopefully it'll be another victory, or at least a draw to earn a home replay. Well, I've just thought it's the 5th round, so there's not going to be any replays, are there? We've got Czech Decore dropping out, an original. Barry Leverington, who scored against us before, he's on the bench, so I'll watch out for a late one from him. Elise's on the bench as well. I'm surprised it's only 4 changes for them. They've gone very strong. Dangor is a bit of a bogeyman for us this year. Adam Flint is a good player. He scored against us before. And then Mitchell, Grahey and Anderson still part of that back 4. Let's go and tell the lads to impress us. I want to see how fit their team is really because they don't look in great shape. They've got a couple of older boys. They've got a few moving on actually. A lot of players leaving the club. Are they in good condition? Yeah, to be fair, the ones that are playing are either in very good or pretty good condition. The ones in the worst state have either been left out or dropped to the bench, which is why Leverington and Decore aren't starting. So let's go and get through the tunnel interview into the first half. I'm hoping physically we're actually in the better condition. It's just what happens here with the balance of styles because that narrow formation not working for them overall, but in occasional games it makes a difference. And against this tactic, we could be vulnerable to it. So I'm hoping the back 3 will just step out and make it work. 15 gone. It's been an incredibly poor game again. You know how these matches run here. We've not played good football at Bournemouth at any stage, but we've made sure that we've had a winning team, and 2 domestic trophies is an incredible effort by any stretch. As Kim picks it up in a holding role, almost gives it away, but it breaks through. And you can see them streaming those players forward in the middle. They've clearly got either a box-to-box or a Mazzala, alongside an advanced playmaker getting in behind. It's basically given them 4 runners against our 3 centre-halves, and we don't know whether to come or go. Mitchell's flying down the left to Flint, chips up to Bruno, flicked on for Matthias, got to be offside. Not the last one, but the one for Flint. Has to be off. He was miles ahead of the line. It is disallowed. I was going to be having a strong word with our defensive 3 if that had been onside. But we get away with it. Palace still no shot on target. We're 25 gone. We've been the better team on the stats. We've clearly not created anything too clear-cut. We've encouraged the boys with half an hour gone. We're having very little of the ball, which you'd expect against a narrow diamond. But we're not creating too many chances worth seeing. We've had plenty of corners. We've not made the most of them. Let's go and tell the lads to keep it up. They're doing okay. And 3 days after a cup final, you've got to say they're switched on. They're contributing in the game. As Matthias, the man who scored that disallowed goal, is now off injured. And we're looking for a moment of inspiration. My worry is that Aslan is knackered and he's the star man, as we put a free kick in that is, I kid you not, awful. And Anderson has got a chance to play out. Can we catch them out here? Kim in the holding role, finds Dangor, the magic man when it comes to playing against us. O holds it up. Forced backwards to Monterisi. Into midfield for O again, and Bruno. Yeah, it's a bit easy for them through the middle, got to be honest. Flint through, we've lost the runner. Oh, they've not even had a shot on target. It's so poor. I mean, it's basically what happened in the Carabao Cup final, but we've dominated this game and just not managed to find a way through. I'm going to berate them. It's poor to concede there. And I need a reaction, but we look knackered. So at what point do we gamble here? The Joffrey's knackered at centre-half. Mendes on for him. Nelson will move out to the right. We're also going to take off Aarons, who's had a stinker. Don't know where it comes from. He just can't find form. Van der Lack's going to be replaced by Fernandes. We're going to replace Leonardo with Lopez. And then it's either Gedson or it's Aslan coming off. I'll leave it 5 more before making a decision. Probably going to be Gedson. And I wish Alex Scott was a bit fitter here. No, it's not. Aslan has got a bruised thigh. We can't risk him. It's going to be Victor Siganov on. He's produced magic before. Can he give us the moment now? It's been such a good performance on the stats, but we've not created anything of note. We're going to go attacking. We're going to encourage the team. And we're going to hope we can catch them out when they're playing out from the back here. But overall, the battle of the tactics has been won by Palace as Guehi moved out to the left with Leverington on. He goes into Rivera and now, yeah, we've been cut open here. Bit too easy through the middle of the pitch. We could have changed shape, but again, it takes away our attacking threats then as Georgi plays out. It's a poor ball. Fernandes is great on the ball. Play it into his feet. Don't rifle it in at head height to him. This goal's going to stand from Jonathan Bruno and we're going to be out of the cup. And while I'm thrilled that we've won a trophy, I'm thrilled we've won the Carabao. I mean, it's game over, isn't it? It's a terrible bit of defending. And we've been carved open at ease. But that was avoidable. Playing out from the back. You don't have to hoof it to the winger's head. 7 minutes added on. We've got no threat. Palace have had 3 shots, 2 on target, and they've won 2-0. I mean, it's one of those days, but I'd rather that happen in this one than in the cup final. We're not going to win the FA Cup again this year, but we have picked up the Carabao. And now all focus will turn to the Europa League, because for the rest of the season, that's pretty much all that matters. If we have a look at the league table, you can see that we are in 9th place at the minute, but we're well behind that top 8. So I would fully expect us to drop down, maybe even be as low as 13th, 14th, 15th. But to get a trophy on the board, I'm very happy with. And there is going to be a little run of fixtures later in the season now where we won't have Europe either side of it. For now, though, the focus is very much going to be the Europa League. And we're going to come back for what should be a couple of pretty interesting games. Because Tottenham away is pretty much last chance saloon when it comes to another top 9 finish. But then we've got the second leg of PAOK. We only won 1-0 at home to them in the final group stage match. So after resting everyone against United, I'm hoping that we'll be able to get a reaction in the first and second leg. I mean, I was tempted to show both legs on camera, but away from home, it's just about doing the job. They've got a few good players on their ranks. We've got Lewis O'Brien unregistered, of course. But we're going to try our best to get a reaction there. So we're going to be back for Spurs away and PAOK at home. If you're looking forward to that and you did enjoy this one, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Another away day defeat in the cup. Do I have to change tactic on the road? Do I have to do it in the European game? We'll wait and see when we get there. For now, though, you've got to put it in perspective. It's another brilliant season. We won a cup last year due to the most fortunate draw in the world. We've won a cup this year due to the most fortunate draw in the world. And after beating several lower league teams on penalties or narrowly, we played our first Premier League opposition in the final and we beat them 1-0 with a late goal. It is definitely a very kind draw that we've been given this year, but we made the most of it. We've won a trophy, and that means the Europa Conference is guaranteed next year. If you want to stay up to date and find out if we do any better or whether we can go on a run in the Europa League campaign, then please do subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back in a couple of days' time to find out the answer. Hopefully the voice continues to improve then. But between now and then, it is a huge summer transfer window special tomorrow as we return for a huge day at Southend United. We move in to another new season where we try to avoid another relegation battle. But will we have found some players that can aid us with a cause? Hopefully you'll come and join me to find out. If you've missed any of that playlist or several of the others, you can find them up in the eye above. There's links there to our Sunday special where we had a look at our predictions for the winter update in the Premier League. We've also got some nostalgia, some guides and much, much more. But thank you very much to you guys for watching as always. Thank you to HelloFresh UK for their support as well. You can find a link in the description below to that one. And I'll see you back here next time as we return with Bournemouth as European action returns for the new year.